All right, welcome to Star Wars and Philosophy. This is Jason, and I am here to talk about The Last Jedi, and I want to talk about it from the standpoint of what Star Wars fans liked The Last Jedi. And so I'm just going to jump right in. But before I do, I just want to say if you're new here, there's a watermark right there. You can subscribe anytime during this video, and I hope that you do. Click that notifications bell, and you will go ahead and you will be notified anytime we make a video. Up here, you're going to find cards going on throughout the video, and those are going to link the different videos and playlists. And down in the description below, there's going to be different affiliate links that if you click on them, it's going to point you towards awesome Star Wars stuff, and you can help out the channel at the same time. And so with all of that said, welcome, and let's go ahead and jump right in. So, what kind of Star Wars fans liked The Last Jedi? What do I mean by that? Well, there's all sorts of different types of Star Wars fans, and I think that's become apparent right now. And one question you can ask yourself is, what drew you to Star Wars in the first place? And I'm going to make another video that kind of goes a little bit more in depth into this concept, but you can just think about, like, another question you can ask that I think is pretty key here is, what element of Star Wars was it that drew you in? Was it the movies? Was it the animated series? Was it the comic books, the books? What about Star Wars was it that drew you in? And how long have you been a Star Wars fan? And another question you can ask is this: what kind of Star Wars content do you consume? Do you consume only the movies? Do you, like I said, watch the animated series? Do you read the books and the comics and stuff like that when they come out? Do you find out what's going on in canon? Do you watch different, various, you probably do. If you're watching this video, you probably watch various YouTube Star Wars related channels. And so what kind of Star Wars fan are you? And if you answer those questions, you're going to, another thing you can ask is, were you a fan of Legends material prior to the new canon, prior to Lucasfilm purchasing, or Disney purchasing Lucasfilm? Those questions are going to answer in a certain extent, what types of Star Wars content do you enjoy and what types do you don't? I did a similar video to this in terms of what Star Wars fans are going to enjoy the Solo movie. And I put that in the cards, and it'll probably be related to the end screens below, but you can also go to the description below as well and find that. But I'm just going to break through the different genres that Star Wars relates to and introduces that might be your way of relating to Star Wars, or it may not be. And depending on if it is or isn't, it may determine the level in which you liked The Last Jedi. And so I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag, as I have in previous videos. I actually liked The Last Jedi. But at the same time, as I go through these, I'm going to be honest with you that the reason why certain elements that really bothered other people didn't seem to bother me is because of the types of elements that I enjoy with Star Wars. So let's go ahead and get in. Sci-fi. Now, if you are a sci-fi fan, I have to say you almost categorically probably didn't like The Last Jedi. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you think about the space scenes, the sci-fi, you really think of like spaceships, the creatures, the planets, and all of those types of things. There are certain Star Wars movies that just nail it, and they were just cutting edge, at least when they were introduced. They may be a little bit, hokey now in some aspects, but when they were introduced, they were like cutting edge. They were ahead of their time. So but The Last Jedi, if you were looking for those great space battles and space scenes and ships and all of that stuff, I mean, maybe you enjoyed Poe Dameron at the beginning, taking out the Dreadnought, and maybe you enjoyed just seeing the immensity of the supremacy, but otherwise, it really was a very low-speed chase. There wasn't a whole lot of planets introduced, and even when they went to Canto Bight, there's not a whole lot of creatures that are running around that we're used to in Star Wars, and that would have been a great opportunity. I'm just going to be honest. And, somebody pointed out in relation to the chase the other day, I have to say that it's true. How is it that the speed that they were going, that no one ever looked out the window and said, oh, there's a planet right there. What planet is that? Meaning Crate. Okay, like that. Once they tried to go to light speed, that would have been like the only planet within proximity, because that's the planet they were able to get to with their reserved fuel. So somebody pointed that out, and then they also pointed out that Boba Fett, if he was in command of the First Order, would have gone to the planet, anticipated them having to land there, and been waiting for them, and they would have been just dead in the water. So there's a lot of elements. I gotta say that I have to admit, those elements really did lack in The Last Jedi. But I didn't care because I'm not a sci-fi fan. I'm not a Trekkie as well as a Star Wars fan. I could care less, really. I mean, some of the creatures are cool, some of the ships are cool, some of the battles are cool, but I care less, honestly. So that's why it didn't bother me. Now, the battles is another element that was really lacking. I mean, if you talk about the space battles, the ground battles, like Rogue One did the ground battles awesome. Okay, the space battles, some of the prequel stuff is really awesome. Even, like Return of the Jedi, really cool. And so, but the battles were pretty lacking in The Last Jedi. And I have to say that, so do I care as much? Now, I really love Rogue One, and I really love the ground battle scenes, and when they do it well, I appreciate it, but honestly, I have to say, again, that's not what draws me in to Star Wars. Humor. Now, here's where, depending on the type of humor that you like, this could even throw you either way. Now, the people who like humor in the Star Wars movies tended to like The Last Jedi, because they threw a lot of it in there. And some people, if they didn't like they don't like humor in Star Wars, then they were like, oh my gosh, what was going on with that? Like, it just kind of kept on coming. Now, I personally found myself laughing. My kids found themselves laughing. I enjoyed it. Honestly, I have to say, I do appreciate humor in Star Wars, because when K2SO was in Rogue One, oh my gosh, that guy, he's my favorite droid by far, just because of his humor. And his character is just awesome all the way around. Okay, martial arts. Now, this is where it was, the throne room scene with Rey and Kylo taking on the Praetorian Guard was probably one of the best scenes in the movie, and that's where it really won me back. Okay, and some of these other things. The next one I have on my list is lightsaber. So a lot of times these go together, not always, because you have Chirrut Imwe, Rogue One again. That's kind of my go-to example if you haven't figured that out, because I love Rogue One. But Chirrut Imwe was not a Jedi, did not have a lightsaber, and yet he was throwing down the martial arts. Darth Maul was a Sith, and he was throwing down the martial arts. So that, in the throne room scene, you probably really like that scene if you like this element in the lightsaber element. But in the lightsaber element, I can say some people were upset by the fact that there was no showdown. There was no actual, like, Rey turning on Kylo and those two dueling it out. Luke didn't have a lightsaber duel, a true one anyway. So no one got to see Snoke throw down. So that might have disappointed some people. And honestly, I had to say, I felt like even with the throne room scene, it was a little bit lacking for me, because I really do love the lightsaber duels as a part of it. Now, the mystery part. The mystery part, if you love mystery, Force Awakens is probably your movie. I mean, everyone walked out of The Force Awakens and were going, who's Snoke? Who's Rey? And it fueled conversation for 2 years with all sorts of theory, set a lot of YouTube channels off into the stratosphere and onto the map. And those people, if you like the mystery element of The Force Awakens, you hated The Last Jedi. Okay, I know for a fact you hated the Last Jedi from that standpoint, because every single person that's saying I'm not happy with what they did with Rey, what they did with Luke, what they did with Kylo, what they did with Snoke, and it's all really related to that. And so maybe that's you. I really love the mystery. I love the conversation. I love the dialogue. That's why I have this channel. And I love talking with you guys about this stuff. And so that part of it was missing, and then with the religion part of it, the Force, that's where you won me back, Last Jedi. That is absolutely, hands down, where why I liked The Last Jedi. That and one other thing on this list I'm going to get to, okay? The religious aspect of Star Wars is absolutely why I'm in. Not sci-fi, not even lightsabers when it comes down to it, not any of that. Not heroes, villains, any of that. That's why this is Star Wars and philosophy. That's why the conversation is divulged around that. That's why I'm going to go heavy. After I get through this Last Jedi stuff that I have down, I'm going to go heavy into the Force. Okay, and we're going to talk about the Force, everything related to the Force, and then, Solo's going to come out. We'll talk about some stuff with that, and then we're going to get right back to why this channel is different than every other channel that is on YouTube related to Star Wars. And I got to get back to my roots, because that's how it started out. A video on Chirrut's line, I'm one with the Force, and the Force is with me. I fear nothing, for all is as the Force wills it. That video is still my most popular Star Wars video. It was my first one. I didn't know anything of what I was doing, and it's my most popular. And so I got to get back to that, because obviously, on some level, that's what people want to hear from me, okay? There's all sorts of channels that are talking about all sorts of stuff. But when I do Star Wars videos, I need to do that. I need to let the other guys just do what the other guys are doing. And when I have a thought or theory or something hits me on the screen and I go, why did they do that? That doesn't make any sense. But the Force, and even what they were doing with Luke and him being a disillusioned, character. And if you've seen my video, I'm going to link to it. Okay, Luke Skywalker plays the role of like the Taoist guru, monk, okay? Like he's in a way trying to determine at first why whether Rey is worthy or not as a student. Yes, he's going through all of his struggles and disillusionment and what happened with Ben, but he doesn't want to repeat that. And so he's trying to make her prove whether she's worthy or not, or whether she wants the easy way out. And so even the sarcasm and the silly lessons, but also just, I love the fact that they brought the balance of the Force, the true balance, and just stop pretending like, the Force is representing some kind of like Western worldview. It's an Eastern. It's Taoism. It just is, okay? The Force, Chi, that we've been talking about with the Kung Fu Panda videos. Again, I can link that, as well. But that's what won me back. Okay, so if you love the religious aspect of Star Wars, then you probably like The Last Jedi, because it was all about the Force. And I have to say this: everybody who says this was the greatest movie, what do they say after that? They said this was the greatest Star Wars movie since what? Since Empire. Since Empire. Now, there's two reasons why they said that. It's the religion, it's the Force, it's, going back, Luke with Yoda and learning about the Force, and now Rey's with Luke, learning about the Force, Kylo's with Snoke, learning about the Force, okay? And then the other one is this, jaw-dropping moments, okay? What is Empire famous for? Luke, I am your father. No! That's what Empire is famous for. The big reveal that changed everything, right? And how many jaw-dropping moments were there in The Last Jedi? There were probably three that I can think of. That I was just sitting there and I go, I just like speechless. I can't believe that just happened. I was not expecting it. Nobody was expecting it. Nobody called it. Okay, there were jaw-dropping moments in The Last Jedi, and you have to admit that. But if you don't care about that, then that didn't mean anything to you. Or maybe, like you had the jaw-dropping moment, but then it was like overruled by the fact that you're like, what? They just killed off Snoke. They just killed off Luke. Oh my gosh, what are they doing? Okay, so jaw-dropping moments. And then lastly, characters. And there's one more that I'm probably going to throw on here, is story. Okay, so characters and story. Now, The Last Jedi. Kylo is not as great of a villain as Vader was. Okay, Snoke is interesting, and then they killed him off, but he kind of had the draw of the Palpatine type character in a way. But Rey and Finn and Poe, I don't know. They just don't. They aren't compelling characters to me, and I think that goes along with the story. I think they're just not writing them well. But then again, in the original trilogy, I really could care less about Luke and Han. Like, I loved Yoda, I loved Vader, and I love Palpatine. I like Chewbacca, but the characters, I have to say again, the characters and the overarching story were never really all that drew me in. Okay, so really when it comes down to it, for me, Star Wars is about like the martial arts, the lightsabers, the religion, and the mystery and the jaw-dropping moments. Okay, like those 5 things. If it's a Star Wars movie that has those things, then I probably am going to like it. And if they don't, then I'm probably not. So I want to hear from you. What kind of Star Wars fan are you? And did you like The Last Jedi based off of those elements? Why or why not? And I promise, I reply to every comment, but I promise I'll be nice. And I'll ask thought-provoking questions, but I promise I'll be nice. And as long as you promise to be nice back to me. And so, and like I said before, go ahead and subscribe down here, cards up there, end screen videos, watch more share on social media, click that thumbs up. Thank you for all the support. I appreciate all of you, and I look forward to seeing you live stream next week, Wednesday. And that's going to be the 21st of February, 2 p.m. and Mountain Time. I live stream Wednesday through Saturday at that same time, and we do videos on Star Wars, cults, and Bible, and teaching through the Bible. So if you like all those things, you know people who do, then get on board, and we're glad to have you. And until next time, may His power be with you.